Skills and quality, and Newsmax contributor Dick Morris had a great column about this. You can find this on our website as well as his website. He says Biden will be the least powerful president since Carter. And joining us now, presidential historian and author of the book Inside Trump's White House, the real story of his presidency, Doug Wead. Doug, pleasure to have you back on the show this morning. I think it's interesting. You read Dick's article, and when I think of Jimmy Carter, I think of that malaise speech. If you've seen the movie Miracle about the 80 Olympic U.S. men's hockey team, that speech is played in that movie. And it's kind of, I always think gray and dreary. And then Ronald Reagan came along and reinvigorated the American spirit. Do you see any similarities here?
Well, yeah, there's a lot of truth to what you just described, Rob, from that era. The only thing missing is historians really give Carter great credit for that Camp David Accord. That was his work. He went from cabin to cabin at Camp David, and he got that done. But yes, long lines at the gas pumps and 14% inflation, and his speech saying we'd lost our spirit. He actually didn't use the word malaise, but that's what it was called, the malaise speech. And then here comes Reagan, and it's morning in America. So there was quite a contrast. And it's interesting that Dick Morris compares Biden to Carter.
You know, so many people, voters of a certain age, remember candidate Reagan, and he had been governor, but he'd run for president before in '76 and just missed getting that nomination. Gerald Ford was the nominee, and he would lose to Jimmy Carter, the peanut farmer from Georgia. But Ronald Reagan would ask, "Are you better than you were 4 years ago? Are you better off?" And that to me sums up that early Reagan presidency, because people said, "No, I'm not," after dealing with 4 years of Jimmy Carter.
The other thing, Rob and Rachel, is the media during that time. The media was very hostile to Ford and Nixon before him, and they were up for blood. And they didn't like Jimmy Carter because he was a born-again Christian. I actually interviewed Carter about it, and he had Kay Graham to the White House, he and Rosalind, and tried to woo her, and there was just no going. So it was a rare moment where a Democrat was also had faced a hostile media, and Biden doesn't have that. And Reagan, the media was so hostile now, they fawn all over him, the same people who hated him then as Trump got. The one big difference, the one thing that makes Biden so weak and underscores Dick Morris's column is that Biden is 78 years old. He will be 82 when he runs for re-election. He probably won't, which means he's a lame duck president, which means if you're a big shot lobbyist, if you're China, if you're a foreign country, if you're a staffer at the White House working for Biden, you're going to start looking for help with Kamala Harris. She's the future. She could be president for 8 years. And being a lame duck is what's going to weaken Joe Biden.
Dick, you bring up a good point. I hadn't thought about it quite like that. Ronald Reagan, and it's not all about Jimmy Carter, by the way. He's maybe had the most consequential post-presidency of any president in history, and we wish him very well, he and his wife, Rosalind. But Ronald Reagan, 1984, there was a debate with Walter Mondale, and I know my producers in the back are going to say, "Why didn't you tell us? We would have gotten you this soundbite," but it just popped into my head, so I'm just going to say it. But he had this debate with Walter Mondale, and age was an issue. At that time, Reagan was 74, and Reagan one-upped him and said, "I'm not going to make age an issue of this campaign. I'm not going to exploit my opponent's youth and inexperience." And it brought down the House. Even Mondale laughed. But now we've got a president who's over 4 years older than Reagan was at that time.
And Reagan, the superb actor, it's one moment where he used his acting ability to be the straight man. He didn't even crack a smile. His eyes didn't even twinkle. He kept it completely straight till he got to the punchline. And that's what made it so hilarious. That was the actor. He had a real advantage in that respect. Yeah, I mean, Joe Biden, I saw that YouTube and Google are taking down all the sites that refer to Biden's blunders, because they're going to continue. There's going to be quite a catalog of them throughout his presidency, and big tech is going to do everything they can to protect his image. But there's no question he's old. I'm old. We lose our cognitive abilities.
No, you're doing
he's
great.
a lot older than than me.
So here's a question for you as we talk about the inaugural address 2 days ago. These are, there have only been so many inaugurals in American history, and they're all dissected. Chris Wallace, who at one time was a very respected journalist, said on Wednesday this is the best inaugural address he's ever heard, and he said that he's heard every single one since JFK's inaugural. So I want to play a soundbite for you and then get your thoughts.
The faith, the devotion which we bring to this endeavor will light our country and all who serve it. And the glow from that fire can truly light the world. And so, my fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country.
Your thoughts? Well, he was one of America's most charismatic and inspirational president, and there's no comparison to Joe Biden, whose first speech after he was elected as president was to attack his opponent. You would have thought he lost to Donald Trump. It seemed like the Democrat Party still is obsessed with Trump, even though they won the election. If you came from another planet and you looked at this inauguration and its pre-festivities and you watched these executive orders, you'd think that Biden had lost to Donald Trump. They can't let go of that bone, and then to claim unity, it's pretty tough sledding for them. They're going to have to give up on Trump and tell us where they want to take us in the future. We got their message. They don't like Donald Trump. We've worked that out. I did have a high school friend call me. This is rather funny. He said, isn't it something Biden's first executive order was to allow boys to go into girls' restrooms in high school? Why didn't you and I have a president like that when we were in high school?
Doug, we got to leave it there. I appreciate the time. I want you to come back and see us. I enjoyed this conversation. Thank you so much.
Thanks very much, Rob.
All right. You are watching Wake Up America.
My friends are calling me all the time and writing me and saying, you've disappeared from television. We can't find you. We don't see you anymore. This is the only way we've figured out how to beat the censors. If you subscribe to this channel, hit the subscribe button and then hit the bell, you'll get notification when I'm on TV. Otherwise, you won't get my Instagrams, my messages on Facebook. It's censorship. So I want to hear from you. I want you to be able to hear from me.